This morning, I woke up with a sense of safety that I can express my religion here and wherever I go today. Who here in this room can say that they have that similar feeling of safety to express their religion? Raises of hands? Great. How many of you are here in a workplace scenario? Is this work? How free do you feel? Who of you feel free to express your religion in the workplace? Not a trick question, but great to see responses. And I see a diversity of responses, which is key. Is it important to have freedom of religious expression in the workplace at all? You're thinking about that. This has been something that drives me, because one of the things that I treasure the most is my ability to pursue my deity according to the dictates of my own conscience. I borrowed that from the Articles of Faith 11. This is important to me because if we're going to talk about values to value, how to integrate value into responsible AI, we need to know where our values are coming from. And I'll tell you the one that's the most important for me. Some people in this world woke up this morning and it was a mortal liability to out themselves as a religious person or according to a specific religious identity. So this privilege that many of you have identified with as safe is a gift here. And I owe that, and I feel that too, and I thank you for my general feeling that we can do that. But according to this perspective from Article of Faith 11, we allow all people to pursue or worship their God according to the dictates of their own conscience. I call that freedom of curiosity. It's better understood as freedom of religion or religious liberty. But freedom of religion has another side to it, freedom from religion. It's equally important, and I will defend that. So this Jesus Christ that I worship values this, because I believe that that article is one of the key values. So when I was working at the largest business maker of software, the largest maker of business software by revenue, SAP, I had to ask myself, do I have freedom of religion here? Does it make sense? Do I need it? And for the longest time, I didn't think about it. I don't work there anymore, by the way. I'm working for a think tank called AI 2030, which is with a mission to advance responsible AI, harness responsible AI to advance humanity while mitigating its negative effects. And as we heard today, there are negative effects that are possible and happening. So, what are the principles that this think tank is using? If I go back to that for just a minute. Fairness, accountability, transparency, safety, security, and sustainability. All right, that's a list of 6 principles. What does that have to do with religious liberty? Well, I'll tell you. As I was working in SAP and thereafter, I found that the same words that are used to describe responsible AI are the same words that folks use to describe the quality of religious freedom in their countries. A year ago, I was in Berlin, and I was speaking to an audience of 43 governments on how to prevent the misuse of religion, specifically the intersection of AI, business, and technology. And I listened to some of these people speaking, and it was only then, a year ago, that I realized that intersection. Some of the same words that are used to describe, so it's an API. Fairness, accountability, safety. When I look at my religion, when I look at my values, I value curiosity, I value generosity, I value kindness, I value love. Turns out, after I met a mayor in Iraq who was one of the last Christian mayors, They woke up with a different sense of religious freedom in their country or in their community than I enjoyed here. But this goes for all of us. So if I go back to that for just a minute, those same words can be used as an API. What is an API? I'm calling that an application programming interface. In other words, how do you shape the AI systems around you? Well, let's go back to HI for a second. If you're going to integrate faith values into responsible AI, you have to start with the humans in the room. So, as a human intelligence, I am a person who I get my values from a great intelligence. You heard a little bit about that today. And now I'll come back to that story at SAP. Turns out that most of these companies that are our peers have this robust sense of religious freedom, but we didn't. We're 100,000 people in 100 countries. And it all came to one question that was put to me once by a person named Brian Grimm. He said, "Does SAP have an interfaith alliance?" "Sure we do." I checked. We didn't. 8 months later, it's during COVID, I got a group of folks together at the company to say, let's talk about religion and see if this is something that we want. Our peers have it. The result was, yes, we did want it. We found out why. And we started an interfaith alliance. This became an important foundation because when we had a communication toolkit that allowed us to ask clumsy conversations to each other about our religions, and we did, we had more brave spaces than safe spaces. And that allowed us to move from tolerance of religious identities to accommodation of religious identities. And as my co-founder Batul Hussein said so well, and move from accommodation of religious identities to integration of religious identities. Simply put, it was now okay to out yourself as a religious person in that community because we gave each other permission to do this. What does that have to do with AI and an API for programming or shaping it? Well, it turns out, and I hope you think about this in your own corporations and your own communities, when you have a robust sense of curiosity for each other, AI is a mirror of the human intelligence that is creating it. Is that a surprise? I'm speaking to an audience at an organized intelligence conference. Not a surprise for all of you. But curiosity is not a given. And you can increase the value of curiosity in an organization. And when you do that, you increase the intelligence. That is to say, you grow the collective intelligence. The previous speakers were mentioning this as well. So where do we go with this? Carl Jung is known to have said, the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemicals. If there is any reaction, both are changed. Question intelligence, I'm using that word, question intelligence, the intelligence you use to ask a question can increase your religious freedom. How so? Well, Dr. Larry Leifer at the design school at Stanford did a research on how many questions per minute design thinkers were asking. They actually studied people who were studying people. And they came out with some correlation between the frequency of questions per minute and some measure of intelligence or innovative outcomes. And that made me think, if I were to sum up all of the scriptures that I've read, there's one message: ask better questions. Those who seek find, and those who knock, the door will be opened. How many of you have ever prompted a generative AI tool? Yes. How similar is that to prompting a question to the great intelligence, the deity that you worship? Maybe some similarities. I see similarities. Your voice, your published voice, counts twice in this age of AI. And your published voice counts twice in this age of misinformation. What does that mean? Well, when you say something, when you publish something, you're speaking to the audience, the humans that you're intending to speak to, but then you're also creating something for the machines, the AI systems folks are developing to learn on, to be trained on. I want to give you a sense of your ability as a non-technical or technical person to shape that sense of your freedom to breathe freely on your personal beliefs or to change your personal beliefs. Okay. In 500,000 surveys in 40 countries in 4 years, an organization called Atlas Bicultural Infusion found more than 400 trillion unique combinations of human identity. It shouldn't come as a surprise that we're as individual as a human fingerprint. The research on human fingerprint doesn't actually go that well, but that's why I say like. Yet, there is no IEEE standard for human identity. And should there be? Well, let's talk about IEEE. It's an NGO. It's a standard-setting organization founded by Thomas Edison. They have AI ethics standards, and they have other standards for technologies. Humans, let's say, are not technologies. But in this age of AI, in the roaring 2020s, in 2025, we are increasingly interfacing with the AI agents coming at us from our municipalities and our corporations, okay? So, IEEE has a new standard that's coming out called 7012, for example. True story. It's called My Terms. It's a machine-readable, personal terms and conditions for folks, that is to say, individuals, you, interacting with those AI agents. This should be helpful. Why? Scoping your own name, image, and likeness, your own ownership of your own data, is increasingly important as an opportunity to protect your human empowerment and your rights, your capabilities. Who of you have written a will? Think of this as a will, a living will, for how your name, image, and likeness is used. In the words of my friend John Havens from the IEEE, he's a founding executive director of AI ethics. He says it so well. The Screen Actors Guild protects actors for improper uses of their name, image, or likeness. Well, IEEE, My Terms, this 7012 standard, is a way for all 8.2 billion people on the planet, I know that's big, but this is a standard we're talking about, to scope and to preserve their name, image, and likeness. I bring up these organizations because whether at an NGO, or whether in your own communities, or whether in your home, or at SAP, where we built an AI ethics project to embed the wisdom of the world's religions into their AI product. I see some people from AIandfaith.org here today, which is to do exactly that. We teamed up to do that. You have, I was about to say an obligation. You have an opportunity to increase the value of the way you shape the AIs in your life. And I should go to a last question here. Which of you have an AI strategy for your own home? Okay, fair enough. Who's working on an AI strategy anywhere else? There's some. I want to give you the idea that it's by curiosity, as Carl Jung was mentioning, that we're able to unlock and grow and discover more of who each other are. Because that combined human intelligence can make us an 8.2 billion person intergenerational planetary team, where talent is everywhere and opportunity can be as well, which it is not now. If you were to take Article of Faith 13 and turn it into a responsible AI framework, imagine prompting this, and this is the end. If there's anything virtuous, lovely, or of good report, let this AI and this HI seek after those things. Thanks.